And here we bring to you some of the interesting conversations making the rounds on social media. Joining me to discuss some of these interesting trends today is Obidike Okafor, is our social media analyst, and I've also got here Norma Ogbona. She's a presenter here at Business Day TV. And we'll be beginning with quite some interesting stories, and I'll come back to you, my analyst, my guest here today. To begin with, an officer of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission was tragically killed and another seriously wounded after suspected internet fraudsters known as Yahoo Boys opened fire on anti-graft operatives in Anambra on Friday. Now, the operatives dispatched from the EFCC's Enugu zonal office were on a mission to apprehend the suspects when the violent confrontation occurred. The ambush led to the death of one officer, while another was critically injured and remains hospitalized. Authorities have detained a male suspect in connection with the attack, though his identity has not yet been disclosed. Details about whether the suspect has legal representation remain unclear. But we'll check out how netizens are reacting to this story on social media, and then I want to get your reactions, Mr. Obidike, and you also, Norma, on this conversation. Now, that comment is from Black Diamond. Black Diamond goes on to say, it went to break someone at the middle of the night. Now, it was sent to meet his ancestors. You can't eat your cake and have it. That's according to Black Diamond. Amy Whatever says, not justifying the person that shot the officer, but this is what you get when you break into someone's house in the middle of the night to arrest them. It's probably self-defense. That's according to Amy. Oladele A says that the federal government should not allow the person who committed this crime to go free. It needs to be taught a significant lesson. That's according to some of the reactions we could take on social media. But I want to hear your thoughts on this conversation. I'll start with you, Obidike. What do you make of this story? Firstly, it's really sad that we lost someone in the heat of this entire thing, but I want to hear your own thought.
Well, okay, first of all, it happened in my state. I'm from Anambra State. And the first question I wanted to ask is, aren't there operatives in Anambra State that can be monitoring the situation? And that's one. Then secondly, why will the operatives come at night? Anambra is not, generally, Anambra is, there are still worries over an unknown gunman. So going to someone's house at night and person not being sure who the people coming are, whether they are armed robbers or whether they are unknown gunmen or whatever it is, the normal reaction is to defend yourself. I feel if the EFCC wanted to make these arrests, they should have gone during the daytime.
During the daytime,
when
yes.
It was clear, and when they can see their uniforms and see their names and everything, and then take it from there. I think the approach by the EFCC was questionable. And it's unfortunate that an officer lost his life. According to some things that are going around the internet, they said the officer was supposed to be getting married soon or something like that. I'm not too really sure about that, but if that's true, then it's a sad development.
Very, not just sad, it's actually tragic, but I do see where you're coming from when you mentioned that they should actually have taken a different approach. Sure. I mean, going in the daytime. And this is also likened to the story we spoke about last week, the Ibom Air thing. It's always about some of the way that our authorities go about some of the things they do. It's not in the thing that they're doing. It's not that it's wrong or whatnot. It's just about the way they go about it. But Norma, I want to hear your own thoughts on this story.
Well, I definitely agree with Mr. Obidike because the Southeast has been under this kind of tension where people were even scared to travel back home for Christmas, even though people still just, braved it and went on ahead. So the process that they carried out was actually very wrong by going to someone's house in the middle of the night. So anyone would be triggered, like you're just in your house and then you start hearing maybe someone banging at your door or something, and you already know that thieves are around this area. The natural response would be to defend yourself. Even if you don't have a gun or anything, you would want to defend yourself. So I believe that the EFCC is, with this experience, now they're going to put up maybe a good structure to apprehend whoever they feel is wrong or is doing something that they shouldn't be doing.
And humans will always have this fight or flight response to things generally. It's quite tragic. You know, I saw a post by Solomon Butcher earlier today where he said he had to take down his post because I think he was talking about the fact that it serves the person right. But then some people were dragging that this is the life that we're talking about here. As much as I get what you're trying to say, but we're also talking about a life here. So he had to take down the post saying that this is the point he's trying to make in terms of just alluding to what you said, that they have to go with a different approach because he said his brother, I think he said his brother was, I don't know if he lost his life, but he said something about the EFCC coming and then attacking his brother last year. So he's still aggrieved about it. He's like someone that has been on the receiving end. So that's why it came that heavy. But he had to take down the post because, you know, as a public figure, there are certain things you would say and how it could be misconstrued. Yeah. But let's move on now to how the US law banning TikTok has come into effect. Although I understand that it has now been postponed. But this happened sometime, this has been ongoing for a while now. And then I understand that right now there's been some sort of, I think it's been postponed for a while. It's been postponed for a while. So, but let's see how people are reacting to it on social media very quickly. Before then, I'll come to you. Now, Piccadilly Lily says TikTok is a very bad platform for violence. It should be banned worldwide. That's according to Piccadilly Lily. Daniel Rega goes on to say it's ironic how OnlyFans is allowed in the United States, but TikTok gets banned. Make it make sense. Daniel Rega always has an opinion on everything, and that's why I like him. 21 says, I don't think people understand how many small businesses are on TikTok. It will be more devastating to small businesses than the COVID lockdowns. Now, let me just go on to just add a little bit of background. Late on Saturday, a message appearing on the TikTok for United States users said a law banning TikTok had been enacted, meaning you can't use TikTok for now. Now, this video sharing app was banned over concerns about its links to the Chinese government, and it was given until 19th of January, which was yesterday, to be sold to an approved US buyer to avert the ban. Now, President Joe Biden has said he would leave the issue to his successor, who is now to be sworn in, President Donald Trump. Now, the president-elect said he will most likely give TikTok a 90-day reprieve from a ban once he takes office on Monday, which is today. But you know, yesterday I'd seen a social media user, I think his name is Inikash, and he had posted about, he's a Nigerian, but he's based in the United States, and he had gone back to the United States, and then he would posted on Instagram saying that people will not find me anywhere, now people cannot find me anywhere, I cannot use my TikTok and all of that. And people talking about how so many lives that were actually changed on TikTok. I have a cousin that makes a lot of money on TikTok, and people were just talking about, you know, youth, when you take some actions, which might be important, but you also have to think of the people that have lost businesses, lost like sort of livelihood to some of this platform. But it brings me to something that I think is really important in the use of social media, and it's a conversation that we've been having for a while now, how for the younger generation, as the Gen Zs and all of that, many people make use of social media and as a tool and as a way to make money. But then again, you cannot only centralize your job on the social media platform. That's what I believe, because I don't think it's enough to wake up in the morning and do some kind of funny content and then people send, what's that thing they do on TikTok, like your wallet, they send you money. Like, is that what you're waking up to do in the morning? It's nice to be a side, but there has to be something else. But I want to hear your thoughts on TikTok being banned in the United States, or generally, and the use of social media in itself, and how exactly what I said, and it being a form of the major form of source of livelihood for young people. What do you think about it?
Well, first of all, quite a number of young people have, you know, their whole life is TikTok. They sleep TikTok, they drink TikTok, they wake up TikTok. They fiddle with Instagram a bit, but TikTok is like their main source of livelihood, and they don't do any other thing else. But it's important that they understand that diversifying is important because of things like the ban. So if somebody has immersed himself in TikTok and they ban TikTok, will the person fold up and die? What happens to the person? So it's important that we understand that TikTok is good. The difference between TikTok and Instagram is that unlike Instagram where they filter content, there are certain things they won't allow on Instagram. TikTok is
for
it's free reign, and and all of that. So I think that's why people lean towards TikTok more, because of some of the restrictions on Instagram. People feel a little bit more freer. So when announcements like banning TikTok comes, people will feel the effect more because they feel they are allowed to express themselves more when they are on TikTok. But I think for the ban in US, Donald Trump said something when he was talking about it in his last rally before his inauguration today, and he said that Republicans normally don't get the young vote, but in this election, the young vote was quite high, and that's one of the main reasons why he was considering, like giving TikTok, and he said a lot of them are on TikTok. He even mentioned the name of a specific TikTok handle, and was saying that he knows that this ban could affect someone like that, and these are the people that voted for him to become president. So he's giving them that grace period, so that maybe an American can buy it out and then TikTok can continue. But if an American buys it out, whether it will still be the same TikTok, because TikTok is owned by Chinese, and one of the main reasons why Americans were a little bit skeptical about TikTok is because they feel that the Chinese were extracting people's data and using it maybe for whatever reasons, and they are not comfortable with that. But so if they sell TikTok to an American, I don't know if it's still the same, whether there will be no rules. Like the same way Twitter changed to X. Of course, some things change.
Whether those agreements will be the same.
Or whether not. Some things will change. So those are some of the things those are some of the dynamics to also look at. But generally, I think it's a good idea to use this period of the whole conversations around, now that the conversations I have around TikTok, to also look at TikTok intrinsically and try to understand the best ways to approach when it comes to TikTok or social media generally, because social media has made and has destroyed people. Social media has exposed a lot of things and all of that.
Than the cons, if you ask me.
No, I agree totally, but I also feel that it's something. It's for me, social media, discussing around social media is a continuous discussion because things change. Nothing is constant. Changes keep coming. So you have to keep driving those conversations to see how it can make things better for everyone.
Norma, it would be interesting to hear your own perspective on this from like the Gen Z approach and the usage of TikTok. Do you think that we understand that it had to be, the reasons why it had the whole banning conversation, it wasn't about what the platform was doing, was majorly, I would say, a little bit of like some kind of political interest. But just from your own angle as a young person, also, which is in the demographic of the people that mostly use TikTok, what are your thoughts on it getting banned?
Well, I think that the ban was definitely political because first, Donald Trump was the one that put up the motion that TikTok should be banned. Like in 2020, he had done everything to sell it off at first, and there was just this conversation that he was going to take the app off Play stores and everything. And I think one of the reasons that came about was because of the Black Lives Matter movement, because like you said, TikTok does not censor a lot of things like Meta does. And right now, I think Meta has already released a statement that they will no longer be censoring certain words and certain information, and they will set up kind of a system where someone will now have to be the one to verify whether this news is correct. So they've gotten rid of their fact checkers. And if we look back in 2020, that entire, let's say, rally that Black people were going for in America really disturbed Donald's government at the time, and it put white people, mostly the conversation is the ones that are so rigid with their white supremacy, put them in a very uncomfortable position where they couldn't run away from any place. Like, they're on Instagram, they are seeing the whole Black Lives Matter movement. They're on TikTok, it's there. So they started complaining. And also, one of the reasons why I think that the ban was also very, very political was because of the incel movement. I don't know if you are aware of this. There's something called incel for Gen Z. It's mostly a short form of, let's say, slang that says that someone is involuntarily celibate, which is like no one wants you, that kind of thing. Like people that are just in the corner of the class and no one wants them. Yes, so these people, mostly men and young guys, they are people who have maybe been rejected by their crushes in high school, and then they just formed this little movement where they are now hating on women, and they're just bringing up anything you can think of that just puts them in a place of like supremacy. And one of them also is that the majority of those in these incel groups, they are white people. So them just coming about and saying, oh, we voted for Donald and all that, and you should keep the app, you know, it just highlights the fact that Black people are being marginalized in ways that, even in the most minuscule manners, like they are marginalized even down to like the TikTok, because TikTok was like the major drive to having a successful Black Lives Matters movement back in 2020. So Donald now showing up and saying, oh, you know, because of this group of people that voted for me, I'm not going to ban it again. It's kind of trying to play Jesus when you're the one that set the fire. There's this thing that Igbo people say where you are cutting something inside the bush, then you come out and ask, who is the person cutting that thing? You get. So it's just the situation. So I believe that the ban is very political. It's something that he's going to bring up or pull up and say, oh, you see, remember I brought back TikTok. Don't forget, like these other people wanted to ban it, and I brought back TikTok. And also the comment you made about people using TikTok as their major source of living. I believe that my generation is smart enough to have websites, because I know that websites are one of those things that everyone is like, get a website, no matter how tiny it is, even if it's the one you're paying a little amount of money just to keep monthly, like, get a website. So I think mostly people that were affected are people who, like one girl on TikTok, she said her parents asked her to get her degree and she was like, no, TikTok is going to take care of her. So I think it's those who do, just a little number of people. They are not really
you don't
large.
think that they are in the majority?
I don't think they are in the majority, because I believe that Gen Z,
they're actually the majority.
I think they're
wow, but I believe that Gen Z is wise enough to have. I know that yes, TikTok was the main funnel, like driving the traffic to their websites. But I do believe that we are smart enough to make the decision of having websites. So that's what I want to believe.
I think what you are doing is you're advocating. Because I don't think that you are generally in that umbrella, like you are smart enough. I think it's more of you just advocating that you believe that you are smart enough.
For me, I feel those who focus on social media are in the majority because, for example, I know someone like, what's his name? Pella. I don't think Pella has a website, but he's on Instagram, he's on YouTube,
but then it will actually be, it will shock you.
I'll be shocked, please. He shocked me. Because even most of the time when he's talking, he mentions YouTube, he mentions Instagram, he mentions all the other channels. But he never mentions like a website. He always talks about his social media channels are the ones, and in YouTube and all, they're the ones that bring money, and he talks about the amounts he makes on each of them and all of that. So in my mind, I'm like, if somebody is talking about those social media handles or YouTube and all those places, and mentions the money that he makes, up to the kind of amount he makes, what I don't see any reason why he wouldn't bother to get the website.
I understand, but the website is just at least to
so.
have like a landing page for people to know.
Yeah.
But
I think that's
many
the,
of them
I
don't
think
really
that's what the people who think in that direction. But generally, once you have that thing and it's bringing money for you, why in the name of God do you want to start doing website? Because websites is spending money. You spend money to maintain the website.
Yes,
But this one is already set up. I have to renew it. But this one is set up already and it's set up for.
And you have to talk about the fact that it actually apps like TikTok, especially, really help people to blow.
Yes.
Like in a way that, just for people that might be wondering what blow means, the blow is just to be quickly successful in a way that you never have expected, because people just, it's like the most very interesting things. I was telling you about it's like a cousin of mine that I know, and I'm like, what exactly? Because he says that he's making money on TikTok. So me and my sister, myself and my sister asked him, so what exactly is this thing that you do? Because we know what you do. Like, so how does this, like, we don't really know what you do. We know what you do. We know what you do that you are not doing anything. So we're like, what are you doing? So he said there are people that just like him, like some white people. He will post content and then they will send money to his wallet. And I'm like, is that what you just make up in the money and you just make money? And he said in 2 months, like daily, he was telling us that in 2 months, like daily, he's getting like 200. And that was when he just started. So I can imagine now. So it would be nice. Thankfully, it's not banned in Nigeria, but thinking about it.
Nobody can ban TikTok in Nigeria.
Well, I do not agree with that, because they've banned Twitter before, and I remember having to access Twitter with VPN, and it was so fun because I wasn't
Twitter that much.
I wasn't
Twitter.
An active user of Twitter at the time, but I just feel like there is this thing of, okay, this thing is not allowed, so let me even see why they banned it. So I had to use VPN to access it. So I don't think that any app.
But on the very positive note, Elon Musk comes on Twitter and says that they would more likely be replacing TikTok with Vine. I don't know if anyone ever knows Vine.
Yeah,
Vine used to exist years ago, but Vine had the same sort of a little bit of a concept like TikTok.
Yeah.
So if they replace that with TikTok, good and fine. But that's where we bring it to a close today. Thank you so much for joining me on this conversation, Obidike and Norma. It was really great speaking with you. And that's how we bring it to a wrap here on the social listening segment on the BDTV Breakfast Show. This is where we highlight some of the conversations making the rounds on social media, and then we have conversations with them on this conversation. And like we like to say, we listen, we actually don't judge. We actually don't judge. My name is Elizabeth Musa, and I will see you tomorrow.